Hello folks, Chris in Arena Studio with another quick lesson for you. Right, one of the things that I discovered probably watching lots of YouTube videos like all us fellow guitar players do is there seems to be one element that I discuss with a lot of my students a lot, and that is practice and lack of the correct approach for practice. You know, if you don't get these things right, your journey of learning to play the guitar becomes frustrating. It becomes a challenge, you know, and then the rot sets in, and then you discover that it's very difficult when really you can make things a lot more simple by practicing the correct way. Now, I have this theory when it comes to practicing the guitar, and I think that my old brain, which works in a specific way, when we do anything, any set of skills that we learn, maybe riding a bike, learning to swim, driving a car, anything like that, we do it with the subconscious. The subconscious delivers the performance. Yet when we're learning to play the guitar or an instrument, we kind of do things too quickly, and that creates mistakes. Now, when we're playing with mistakes, our brain is absorbing this information. If I do something like this, or this, it's the same outcome really. The only thing is one has got more movement than the other. Now, my brain doesn't know which one is right or which one is wrong. It's just storing that information and thinking this is something that we need to retain. We have to absorb this and retain this because it's something that we're doing on a regular basis. But the problem with this is that when we play with mistakes, so if we did say a simple scale pattern, okay, and then we did something like we get so many repetitions wrong, our brain again is absorbing those repetitions, and it doesn't know whether that information has to be retained or ditched or whatever, because it's just going in. We're feeding that information. So the concept that I work with when I'm teaching anybody on guitar is that if you can actually play everything perfectly, you don't make mistakes, which means you don't absorb the mistakes, which means that the process of learning is actually a lot quicker. It's the mistakes that you retain that causes your brain to actually go, well, we've been there before. Do they want this? Or do they want this? Are we supposed to be doing that or that? So the concept that I work with, like I say, is that making sure that the information that we feed into these fingers and this brain is as constant as is possible. So another example is, I'm going to turn this way. Say we were doing a little bit of a finger pick. Okay, so I'm just playing a simple D chord there, and I'm doing a nice little easy finger picking pattern. Now look at my pinky. My pinky is resting on the board. Now the reason why I do that, I'm not saying this is perfect for everybody. Everybody else has their own techniques and styles, but for me, if I've got that pinky there, I've got none of this vertical movement. So if I were to take the pinky off and slow this process down, this is what happens. All these movements vary from time that you pick it. So which one is right, which one is wrong? Every one of those is a different amount of vertical movement. Whereas if I put the pinky on, I'm actually keeping everything within a certain set of parameters, which means that it's very similar, and then your brain goes, oh, actually, I've been here before. This is like a snapshot, 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 snapshot of information that we're absorbing. Once it starts to absorb something that's consistent and very similar, we kind of go, oh, just a minute, and then like riding the bike or driving the car, it becomes the subconscious that delivers it with a period of time. Now, to get to that stage, we have to play perfectly. We have to try and eliminate the mistakes. Now, the big problem I see with a lot of the students, and I go back to the scale, and I'll say to them, have you been practicing the scale? They'll go, yes, and I'll go, play it for me. And they'll be, and I'll go, play it slow, and they'll go, and I'll go, play it slowly, and they'll go, and I'll go, play it slow. And this conversation goes on for about 5 minutes before, and then they go, hang on a minute, this is slow. I am listening to every detail of what I'm learning. I played it perfectly. So I don't have to, I can stop the mistakes from happening, because if I'm just going to go and then, oh, I've still played the phrase perfectly. Musically, it's not going to sound great because we've lost the musicality of the performance. The same thing applies to songs. If you're trying to learn them too quick, your brain is absorbing a massive amount of information, including all the mistakes. Eliminate the mistakes, you will learn everything far, far quicker and better, and you'll play it more accurately in a shorter space of time. It's really one of those things that I've looked at for a long, long time, this, and I've discovered that it's not just practice that gets you good on the guitar, it's perfect practice. Playing everything perfectly time and time and time again is what gets you where you need to be. So a few little ideas for you to think about there when you're in a practice. Are you playing it perfectly? Are there mistakes? Does it sound like it's supposed to? If it doesn't sound like it's supposed to, go back, correct it, and make sure you play it at a nice steady tempo to learn it. Once you've learned the example of what you're working on, whether it's a chord sequence or a scale pattern or a lick or a phrase, then it's time for you to practice it with the metronome and build the speed up. But you have to learn it, you have to retain the information first before you're ready for that stage. And there's a big crossover point with all this where people actually start doing both at the same time, and then you don't master any of it, and it becomes a huge challenge and it destroys your guitar playing. So have a little think about those, apply them to your practice sessions in future. Think about, have I got tension? Am I playing it cleanly? Am I accurate? Are there any mistakes? If you got all those right, then you're in the ballpark of doing a perfect practice session. Don't worry about the speed. The speed will come once you've got everything absorbed and your subconscious delivers it for you then, like driving the car or riding the bike. Please give my channel a like and a subscribe. It makes my day and it inspires me to make more videos and try and fit them in as quick as I can while I'm busy. And you can check out the website for any other content and bits and bobs that's going on there. So for me, Chris, as always, stay safe, stay well, and keep on rocking in the free world.